2022 has come and gone, so that means today I'm going to be giving you my top 10 worst movies of 2022. Let's go. Let's get right into it. In 10th place is Morbius, a movie that falls flat on almost all levels. This is supposed to be a connected movie into the MCU, which it's not. It's a part of the Sony Spider-Man universe or something like that. Without Spider-Man, there's no Spider-Man in this universe. It's the third movie in that franchise, and I don't care for the franchise. I didn't really enjoy Venom, and I did not enjoy Venom Let There Be Carnage, and Morbius is just not a good movie. It's really boring, and there's a lot of story problems in this movie. In 9th place, Firestarter, a movie that is so forgettable. I don't remember anything about this movie. I think it had Zac Efron in it. It was just so forgettable, so boring, so formulaic. It felt like I've seen this movie 100 times just that year. I mean, this movie is nothing new. It's a Stephen King adaptation, but it just does not work. It's so boring, and it just feels like we've seen it 100 times before. It just does not work, and that's why Firestarter is number 9 on this list. In 8th place for me is Home Team. This is one of the first movies I saw this year, and it stars Kevin James. Again, another very forgettable movie that just feels like another Happy Madison movie that we've seen over and over again. Very formulaic. A lot of the jokes you could predict what was going to happen. A lot of fart and poop humor in this movie. It's just not funny. It's not a funny movie. And overall, I just didn't really care for it. And Home Team is just a movie that I'm never going to rewatch. Just a movie that doesn't work. It falls flat. I didn't laugh once in the movie. Kevin James is okay, but overall, the movie's just not good. It just feels like another Netflix Happy Madison movie. In 7th place is Me Time, the new Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg movie. I wanted to love this movie because I love Kevin Hart. Mark Wahlberg's really good in movies like Daddy's Home and Daddy's Home 2, Father Stu. He's a good actor, and Kevin Hart his movies can be funny, like Jumanji, hilarious. Me Time, however, the first 20 minutes, I was like, okay, yeah, I really like this so far. I really enjoy it. And then it just, like every other comedy in the last 10 years, goes off the rails to absurd comedy that's just not funny. There's a mountain lion for some reason in this movie, and the whole tortoise thing, it's just not funny. It's actually uncomfortably not funny. It's not entertaining to watch. This movie just feels like every other comedy, adult comedy that's came out in the last 15 years. It just feels like they're going so absurd to get like these crazy laughs and like shock humor, and it just doesn't work. And this movie is kind of boring. In 6th place is Madea Homecoming. I watched this movie at the beginning of the year. Not funny at all. And I think that's the theme with a lot of the movies on this worst of the year list, is a lot of these movies just are either boring or they're not funny, because the comedy's job is to make you laugh. And unfortunately, this Madea movie is not funny. Now, I've never seen a Madea movie before, but this one came to Netflix, so I wanted to give it a shot. Unfortunately, not funny. I didn't remember anything in this movie. It's just not funny, and it didn't work. I thought it was just stupid to a point that it wasn't funny. Like, I love the Austin Powers movies. Those movies are some of the funniest movies of all time, in my opinion. However, Madea Homecoming, just the comedy didn't work for me. In 5th place, Pinocchio, which won the Disney live-action remake. This movie is not good. It is so boring. It's overly long. It's like 2 hours or over 2 hours. It doesn't need to be that long. It's really boring, and some of the stuff, the choices that they did just didn't work. A lot of it felt like it was just the same movie, but then the decisions they added to add more to the movie didn't work. And that was the problem with the Dumbo remake for me too, is the stuff that they just copied felt lazy, and then everything else that they added just felt unnecessary and not entertaining. And this movie is just boring. Tom Hanks does a good enough job. Keegan-Michael Key probably is the best performance in the movie. Other than that, this movie Good thing it was on Disney Plus, because this movie is not a good movie. In fourth place, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a movie that first of all, I've never seen a Texas Chainsaw Massacre until this movie. This movie, again, took these group of characters, brought them to this old town. It was a very weird plot, and it's modern day, and they have all this technology, and they're talking on like all of this slang, and it didn't work with the character of Leatherface, and some of the kills weren't very, like, it was too gruesome, and the movie just doesn't, this is not my type of horror movie. It just wasn't, it didn't work for me, and I didn't really enjoy it. Good thing it was only an hour and 20 minutes, but this movie, unfortunately, I did not really enjoy it at all. In third place, They / Them. This is a slasher horror movie. Again, very, very predictable. This movie, the whole thing is like, who's the killer? And I predicted who the killer was within the first 20 minutes, and the rest of the movie is painfully boring. It's very slow, and some of the characters are just unlikable. There are some very likable characters in this movie, but a lot of them I didn't care for. And then when the whole slasher element, I think the title is very clever, and I think this movie could have been really, really good, just with better execution, because again, the reveal of who the killer wasn't very interesting, and this movie was just very boring, very drawn out. In second place, Ice Age: The Adventures of Buck Wild. Unfortunately, this movie's on this list, and it's pretty high up on the worst of the year list, which is unfortunate because I love the first 5 Ice Age movies. I watched them endlessly on repeat when I was a lot younger, and I absolutely love those movies. I recently rewatched the first Ice Age on a plane, and it's really good. So it's a shame that this 6th installment was this bad. They didn't get any of the voice actors to return except for Simon Pegg, who in this movie isn't as good as he normally is in the previous movies, and everyone else got recast. The animation is horrible. The whole storyline doesn't work. Some of the worst animation I've ever seen in a movie with this big of a franchise that was released by a company as big as Disney, who I don't really want to see an Ice Age 7, and if they do, I hope it's in the theater, because this movie was not good. The voice acting, the animation, the characters, the stories, everything was turned up. Everything that was bad about the other movies was turned up. The annoying characters like Crash and Eddie, who I find tolerable in the other movies, were just unbearable in this movie, and Scrat's not in it, so you gotta dock some points for that. But in first place, the absolute worst movie of the year, which I could tell by just from the trailer, but I still watched it, Pinocchio: A True Story. I did a review on this, so you can go check that out if you're interested on my thoughts in a longer format. This movie is just horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Just the characters in here, the voice acting, not a good movie at all. The characters are unlikable, and they do stuff with the circus that doesn't work in a Pinocchio movie. It's easily the worst Pinocchio movie of the year, and just a movie that I found absolutely horrible to get through. It was a grind. It's not a good movie. So there you guys have it. There's my top 10 worst movies of 2022 list. Share your thoughts down below. What are your least favorite movies of this year? Share all that down below. As always, you can check out some more videos right now. Please hit the subscribe button down below. Thank you.